Well, I am very excited about our next guest on Casual Conversations with Courtney, someone I've admired for a very long time, especially since you've just had such a varied career. Well, really, I shouldn't say varied because you've been at one place for a very long time, but varied as in you've done so many different things. Mike Martin, former FSU baseball coach. I'm going to still call you coach. Is that okay?
I'm proud for you to call me coach.
I just don't think I can not get used to calling you coach. And I feel like a lot of fans agree with me on that. But let's go back. A lot of people have asked me when I told them, hey, you know, Mike Martin's in the area, we're probably going to interview him. A lot of people wanted to know what some of your favorite memories playing at FSU was, going back, you know, and doing that. I know you started at a JUCO. Was it in North Carolina?
That's right.
Yeah.
Winged
Right, and then you transferred to FSU. Was FSU always the goal for you?
No, I was one of those guys that did not do what I should have done, and that was devote more time to my studies. And I was in a so-called predicament, and I ended up going to a junior college for 2 years and got the AA degree, which enabled me then to shop at a couple of schools in the state of North Carolina. One of the players that was on the basketball team at Wingate went to Florida State as a basketball manager. His name is Morris McCone. He became the coach. Now, this is hard to believe. He became the coach of the San Antonio Spurs 4 years later. Morris McCone recommended me to Fred Hatfield, who was the coach. And Coach Hatfield gave me an opportunity to battle for a job. And my wife and I came to Panama City on our honeymoon in 1964, and we haven't left the area.
Well, that brings up a great point. You've vacationed here, you've been in the area. Do you have a favorite spot here?
Well, I like Shark's Tooth and Camp Creek to play golf, and enjoy the people here in Panama City. They're so friendly, and you go to any of the restaurants, especially Captain Anderson's. That's one of my favorites.
My favorite too. I love Captain Anderson's. That's awesome. Well, going back, you know, a little bit, what were some of your favorite memories playing on the Seminoles baseball team?
I would think it was the first road trip that we took. You're leaving your class work. You know that you've got to stay on top of that in order to be eligible. We're on the road in Baton Rouge. We're on the road in New Orleans, Louisiana also. And you learn to structure your day because you have study hall that you've got to stay up to date. Then you're going over a scouting report of the team that you're playing. So I think when we got started off real quickly. We won something like 15 of our first 20. We were ranked in the top 5. And then it became, well, can we stay there? Right. So it was an eye-opener for me because the fans on the road were a little boisterous. The fans at home were awesome, and they've always been that way. You're playing baseball now in an arena that you've never been in before. So for me to try to signal out one particular game, although I would have to say I do remember the first home run I hit, and that was against Miami.
That's awesome. I like to hear that, especially another Florida team. That's got to feel good that you kind of a little bit of rivalry there that you felt. But I have to ask this. I was reading up on you and reading up on your career, and I noticed something interesting. When you first started coaching, you didn't coach in baseball, did you?
No, and ironically, I coached junior high basketball. So we came over here to Panama City, and I don't think the name of the school is still the same, but we played Jinx Junior High School.
Yeah,
it's still here?
It's Jinx Middle School, right? Yeah, it's a little bit different, but I mean, kind of the same, but so it's still here. Why basketball?
I guess because of the friends that I made at Florida State were into learning all about zone defenses and switching man-to-mans, and I just really became enamored with the fact that you're working with only 5 guys. You got to get everybody on the same page for a particular play to work. I got into baseball when I was the basketball coach at Godby High School. I had coached 1 year at Tallahassee Community College, but then when I went to Godby, Woody Woodward became the head coach at Florida State, and he and I were golfing buddies. We still are, except he won't give me enough strokes to compete. But anyway, we stay in touch with each other. It's just something that I'll always remember was the phone call that he gave me and said, they want me to come out to Florida State and coach.
That's awesome.
You interested? And I said, gosh, let me think about it. And the funniest thing, I guess, in my 55 years of marriage, I went to Carol and I said, Woody just offered me a job as assistant baseball coach at Florida State, and I just don't know if I want to do that. And her question to me was, are you crazy?
I love that. So honestly, it was that point where you were like, I have to take this, right?
Well, it was such a great opportunity. You're going back to your alma mater. You're going to an established baseball program. You're working with a former major leaguer. You have the attention of recruits all over the country because of the popularity of Florida State baseball. Right. So there were so many pluses, it made the decision very easy.
Did you always know you wanted to be a head baseball coach? Was that something that you dreamed of at a young age, or did the coaching bug bite you later?
Courtney, you're asking some very smart, intelligent questions.
Well, thank you.
And I'm getting tired of the fact that you're doing such a great job, and I'm not. But let me tell you, I never dreamed I was going to be a head baseball coach at Florida State. That never entered my mind. It was a race to go over there as a assistant coach. It was an opportunity to be seen by other universities. Maybe somebody comes along and says, hey, this Martin guy might be somebody that can help us. And the way that things are in college now, assistants switch jobs all the time. But I never did, because there was only one place that I ever wanted to be, and that's Florida State University.
And that brings up another great question. You are the definition of a Seminole through and through, someone who's been dedicated to that school for so many years. What does it mean to you to be a Seminole?
Courtney, it's another great question, and it's so easy for me to answer. They gave me a chance. Fred Hatfield, come on, let's see what you got. I got an opportunity to play 2 years of baseball at Florida State. And then I get a chance to be an assistant coach at Florida State. And then Dick Hauser goes to the New York Yankees. And now they're giving me the opportunity to be something I never dreamed that I would become. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. We've lived in Tallahassee for 55 years. We raised 3 children. All but one graduated from Florida State. But I can count her mother, because the one that I was alluding to did not go to Florida State, but her daughter, my granddaughter, will graduate from Florida State this year.
Well, that's great. That's something to celebrate, I'm sure. You bring up another great point, your family. You have a wonderful, wonderful family, and it starts with your wife, Carol. I teared up in my room. They made a video of her writing a letter to you, and all of your you know, all of the things that you've done for her and all the things you've done for FSU. What's it like to have someone who supports you through everything that you've done and has just been there to help you, to care for you, and just give you that support?
Courtney, I think the easiest, but yet the most truthful statement that I can make is that God gave me Carol, and I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for Carol. She makes suggestions. Some irritate me. I am a man. I'm not supposed to have to be told to be sure that the tie is straight, or be sure you got socks on. Be sure that you do this. But that's just her makeup. She cares about her family. She's always looking for ways to better her grandchildren, whether it be a certain trade-in on a car. She's always trying to be a good mother, grandmother, although everybody calls her Mimo. But thank God she's my Mimo.
I love that. I love that. And on the same line of going with family, how proud are you that your son is now continuing your legacy, taking over the FSU baseball program?
Courtney, the university made a very good choice. I'm so proud of Mike and what he has done for Florida State University. Graduated from Florida State University, was an All-American at Florida State University. That goes unnoticed because I believe it was a second or third team All-American, but got his team to the College World Series twice in the 3 years that he caught for Florida State. A tireless worker, what I call an eat-up Seminole. He loves every program at Florida State. He tries to help any program that calls and asks, hey, what can we do about getting this particular lady or this particular guy in Florida State, because we really feel he's got something to offer. He loves Florida State and the people that are there, and now he has an opportunity to do what he has thought about for the last 10 years when he knew that it was inevitable that one day I would retire. But they gave it to a great, hard-working young man.
That's awesome. And what do you think are the differences between you and him and your style of coaching versus his? And what do you think are some things that maybe you helped him develop over the years?
Well, you never realize how difficult it is for a father and son. There were times that Mike felt like he should be taken out of the lineup. When he first got to Florida State, he struggled. And in fact, we had a meeting one time, and he said, I think I need to be taken out of the lineup. And I let him know in no uncertain terms who ran the ball club. And also let him know that when I thought it was time, I would play the best person that I had. And that's why he is in the lineup, is because he was the best person for our team, but yet he was putting too much pressure on himself because of me. And I wasn't looking at it that way, because I'm looking at putting the best guys on the field. Well, he ended up hitting over 300 that year because he bounced out of the little slump that he was in, and well, the rest is history.
That's awesome. And I always tell people this. My dad is a college coach. Never coached me, but coached my brother for a little bit. And people always say, oh, you don't understand what it's like coaching your son. Was it ever difficult for you when you were coaching him, and maybe even coaching with him? Was there ever a moment you were like, this is just a father and son moment versus I'm coaching you or I'm working with you?
I never really had a problem with anything with our relationship. I would like to relay a story to you about the time that we were in Omaha. And it was a beautiful day. And I looked out at Rosenblatt Stadium, and it was just a perfect day for baseball. And I could sense that there were hundreds of parents in the stands. There were 35 on each side playing. There were grandmothers and granddaddies and cousins and aunts, and of course, their mother and daddy. And here I was in the other dugout coaching my sons on the team, and I can't have that moment. I can't enjoy that moment. There's no way that I can think back to the time that we had in the cage, working diligently and making him pretty darn good hitter, and playing catch and watching him come over to Florida State and work out a little bit when he was 13 years old. Just something that I looked up and I said, you know what? I'm not going to give a sign. I don't give a flip. I'm going to be a parent. Mike comes to the plate. Doug Minkiewicz is at first base. I don't even look at him. I'm just looking up in the stands, enjoying the moment. Then I went to the pitcher, and the pitcher came set, and I knew Mike was now ready to hit. So I looked in there. First pitch was a ball. I didn't even look at him. I just kept enjoying that moment. Well, being the son that he is, he hits the next pitch back up the middle for a base hit. Minkiewicz goes to third, and there went my thoughts. But I'll never forget that moment.
That's a good one. I think that's a story that I've never heard that story before. I hope
I haven't told that story in an environment like this since I've retired.
Well, I love that you decided to share it with us. Just a few more questions for you today. The winningest all-time coach in college baseball history. That's huge. What does it feel like to have a title like that and to live with that, at least until someone comes and usurps you, you know? I mean, what does it feel like to have that on your resume?
I think it's just something that every person wants to be viewed. For an example, Tom Brady wants to be the quarterback that's thrown the most touchdown passes in the NFL, and he wants to win more Super Bowls than anybody will ever win, which I think he's already accomplished that. But anybody that's playing the sport that has a chance to establish something that others can shoot at and possibly break, that's what you work toward. That's something that Courtney Close can look at a year from now, and people will be saying, I want to be sure that I've got her show taped so I can watch it when I get home. Everybody, the people in the studio right now are doing a great job. And one day they're going to have an opportunity to leave, or they're going to enjoy themselves so much and be appreciated by so many people. Why do they want to go anywhere? This is home. This is the people that are taking care of them right now. Why do they want to go anywhere? Everybody wants an opportunity to prove themselves. That's what I've enjoyed so much about my job.
Do you think you've proved yourself as a coach?
I have a very hard time talking about me. I will say this. My golf game stinks, and I'm about sick and tired of my golf game. I was so bad today, but good Lord willing, the sun will come up tomorrow. I'll try again tomorrow.
But that's what it is. You've told me before that you're going to improve that golf game, and you're doing that here, right?
I'm doing the best I can here. Yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
enjoy that game.
Well, that brings another one of my final questions. What's retirement like for you? What are you doing now? What's it for you now?
Well, Carol and I went on a 16-day Mediterranean cruise, and that was fantastic. We went over to Jerusalem. We went to Israel. We just had an unbelievable time to walk in the footsteps of Jesus Christ. Was a tremendous feeling for Carol and I as we were able to see Ephesus, where the book of Ephesians was written by Paul, I believe. It was just so real to see the excavation that they had done there from 2,000 years ago. It was quite an adventure for us, and we sincerely enjoyed it. That's just one of the things that we've done.
That's awesome. And I know you're speaking at different places. You spoke at the FSU PC campus. You're speaking at churches. Do you feel like that's something that you'd like to get into, maybe motivational speaking? You're obviously very good at it, and there's a lot of people that want to hear the things that you have to say. Is that something that maybe you enjoy doing now?
Oh, I enjoy expressing something that I feel comfortable expressing, as long as somebody doesn't ask me, how do I read a 30-foot putt? Because I will make them 4-putt every time. I got to be versed. Baseball, basketball, a little bit of football. I just enjoy the camaraderie. I'll miss that. I'll miss the guys as they came in as boys and they leave as men. That's something that is very dear to me as a coach, is watching those young men mature and go on to bigger and better things. And I've been blessed. I've had the pleasure of coaching a lot of great players. That's
awesome. And I kind of want to finally leave you with these few thoughts. Have you been watching some of FSU play on the football field this fall? Have you? I know we talked about that a little bit earlier, and you said, hey, I'm going to watch the football games. I'm going to be maybe in the stands for a few of them. Have you been watching the games?
I certainly have, and I'll have the pleasure of being with our athletic director, David Coburn, this Saturday when we play Louisville.
That's awesome. And are you excited to be in that environment again, in that, it's every game environment is fun and exciting, especially with Seminoles fans. Are you excited to be back in it?
Absolutely. There's nothing like a football game with Florida State playing whoever in Doak Campbell Stadium. When Chief Osceola comes riding out there on Renegade, baby, if I'm not in my seat when that spear hits the 50, I'm not a happy camper. And I was there a couple of weeks ago when we played, and it was just like the old days, because I was a guy that saw the first Florida State game played in Doak Campbell Stadium.
Wow. That had to be pretty special for you.
It was definitely special because I remember the outcome vividly.
Well, that's all the questions I have for you today. Do you have anything else to add or anything you want to say?
I would just like to thank the people here in this area for supporting Florida State athletics. No matter what the sport is, we need as much participation as we can. And we've always seemed to get it from this area. And that's very important and very special to all of us Seminoles.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Coach. We really appreciate having you.
Thank you, Courtney.